This last question is about drinking. And I wasn't going to address this, but I decided that I would. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do an update on my mom. I'm going to chat a little bit about where we are with her and her recent move to memory care. I'm going to give you an update on the channel, a little bit about shifting priorities, why you might not see as much content as you have in the past, and then I'm going to get into your questions that you guys so generously gave me over on Instagram and also on YouTube. So let's dive right in. So before we even get into it, if you are not already subscribed to my channel and this is like the 10th or 12th or 15th video of mine you've watched, would you please do me the honor of subscribing? Only about half of you are subscribed. It's free, it's easy, it really does help me out here on YouTube. And if you would also do me the kind favor of giving this video a big thumbs up, hit that like button. If you're given the option to hype, not everybody is, so if you're ever given the option to hype when you do that, it really helps with the algorithm. And every time you do any of those things, you are helping a small business owner, and it really means the world to me. And if you really want to support what I'm doing, you're welcome to join us over on Patreon, where we do blog posts and you get exclusive access to all of my videos, ad-free. We go on trips together. It's a whole world of its own over there, and I would really love for you to join us. Okay, so let's get into a quick update on my mom first. For those of you that don't know, my mom has Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. I was sharing updates as we were moving through the process of selling her home, taking away the car keys, getting her moved into assisted living, and I will link below and probably up here the link to the full playlist where I talked about all of those things. Now we're kind of settled, and this is where we will be for a while. So I haven't done a lot of updates. I've wanted to protect her privacy. I've also just, quite frankly, been really overwhelmed with the responsibility of kind of being the main person. And I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to compare what I'm going through to someone who's caring for their parent in their home. Those caregivers, that is a completely different level. We are very, very blessed that mom is in a fabulous memory care facility. The caregivers adore her. I'm over there most days. Some days are more challenging than others, but it is still a lot. I'm dealing with the grief piece of it, just the logistics piece of it. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Mom was having hallucinations that there was someone in her room and she was calling me, and the caregivers were trying to calm her down. And now today we're dealing with the nurse practitioner to try to figure out if we need to switch up some medication or what might be going on with that. So most days, a big chunk of my day is taken up with something to do with the care of my mom. It's a privilege. This is not a complaint. It has, however, meant that I have had to shift my priorities slightly. You've probably noticed there have not been any sponsored videos. I haven't really been pushing any affiliate links. I haven't really been doing a lot of the things that I used to do that, quite frankly, brought in income. But from a time perspective, something had to give. And my husband was really noticing that I was just working way too hard and being pulled in way too many directions. And so I have made some decisions with the channel that I do want to share with y'all. Nothing serious. My weekly vlogs are still going to happen. You're still going to see me around. I have completely removed myself from some social media. I'm no longer on Threads, and I plan on being much less active on Instagram. So if you follow me over there and you still want to have like a little bit more, daily touch-ins and things like daily check-ins and things like that, I would definitely head over to Patreon. I will stay very engaged with my patrons. They are the lifeblood of the operation. And if you really want to stay in touch with kind of behind the scenes and what's going on, Patreon is going to be the place for that. But I am only one person. And as most of you know, Scott's a pilot, so he travels. And the weight of responsibility has just gotten way too big for me to try to grow my business. Now, I can maintain what I'm already doing, but when it comes to growing things and trying to find different sponsors and different people to work with, I don't have the bandwidth for that right now. And really, over the last probably since January, and even going back into December, when I started mapping out what 2026 was going to look like, I was feeling that being the case. I kind of knew that I couldn't keep up the pace that I had in 2025. I couldn't continue to try to sell my course and do consulting and all of that and still give the time I wanted to mom and still give the time that I wanted to give to my own life. Some of you remember this job was supposed to be like a semi-retirement job for me, and it has so, gone beyond the boundaries of what I initially hoped it would be, in all the ways, in good ways and in bad ways, not all in bad ways. In fact, some of the ways have been fantastic. And I feel this temptation as someone who is very ambitious. And this is so good for me to kind of externally process, although I know that's not why you're here. I should go to my therapist for this. But even though I could push harder, which would mean more traffic, more revenue, maybe bringing on new employees, all the things, it is not the season of my life for that. I cannot do what I want to do for my mom, give what I want to give to my family, my relationships, my neighbors, my community, give what I need for myself to maintain my health and good eating and nutrition and exercise and all of the things, and push my business. There will be a season for that again, or I don't know, maybe there won't, but it really became obvious to me that for right now, I needed to pare down and focus and let the main thing be the main thing. The thing is, and those of you that have someone in your life that you are the primary caregiver for, or if you're like me and they're living in a memory care, assisted living, nursing situation, whatever it is, you're kind of on call all the time. Last night is a perfect example. Mom started calling me around 10:30, and from 10:30 till about midnight, we were dealing with this situation where she was having a very bad hallucination and was convinced there was a man in her room and that she was being attacked. It was really scary for her. It was scary for me. The caregivers were on the phone with me. We were navigating it. Hallucinations are a big part of dementia. They can, not everybody gets them, but they can be really disturbing. Now, so of course, hardly any sleep was had. And then I just checked in with the memory care unit and she's doing great today. She's laughing, she's smiling. She doesn't even remember that all of that happened. So as a result of that, I was on the phone earlier and I'll have some things to do today to try to get her medication changed, to get her a stronger sleep medication, to maybe get her on something they can do as needed when she gets really anxious like that. I've also had to ask the assisted living to pull the cameras, even though I know with 100% surety that it was a hallucination. We're still going to pull the cameras because I told Mom that we would do that. So that involves me, reaching out to the director and saying, can we please check the footage just so I can tell Mom, absolutely no one was in your room, and on and on and on it goes. And I'm giving you just like one snapshot of one day. Another day, it could be something totally unrelated, but it's a lot, and it's every day, and it's most days at least 2 to 3 hours of every day. So there was no way to keep, to have my ambitions. I never apologized for being ambitious and wanting to grow my business, but there was no way to continue to do that and take care of myself and take care of her and focus on my relationships. And we just had to pare back. So what that has meant for me is, for the time being, I'm going to back off on any new sponsorship opportunities. I do have a couple things that are still in negotiation that will probably go through, but I'm not going to pursue anything new. I'm going to really back off on other social media that isn't here on YouTube, so I'll be posting much less to Instagram. I've deleted my Threads account altogether. Some things happened over there that felt a little unsafe to me, and I just realized I can't manage that in addition to everything else. So we're just in a season of, I guess, economizing of energy and trying to really understand that I only have so much to give in every day, and I need to give towards those things that are my highest and best. And you can't be all things to all people. And so If you have been following me on Instagram, and I know a lot of you say, we really love your daily check-ins or whatever, please come over to Patreon. I do a lot of behind the scenes over there. I post multiple times per week. We do monthly live streams. That is the place where you're going to find me more regularly because I really am focusing on the YouTube channel and on my patrons. So as far as my second channel goes, Content Creator Break Room, I will be posting very sporadically over there. Please go and watch those videos if you haven't already. Ironically, it's really close to being monetized, but I just know that I'm not going to have the bandwidth to post over there like I want. I do have a few trips coming up, so there will be trip vlogs coming and weekly vlogs and vlogs here at home. So this is not me. I'm not retiring. I'm not doing any of those things, but I am stepping back from a few things because you have to say no to something in order to say yes to something else. And for this season, taking the best possible care of my mom has to be priority number one. So we're putting the emphasis on the correct syllable, as my dad used to say. He will really appreciate that I just made that joke. Dad's been gone since 2009, but I always do feel like he shows up in my dad jokes. And that makes me feel like he's still here with me. So there you go. So that's enough of that. That's our update. She's doing fine. She did have RSV, which was a big deal. And we actually were very grateful that she got through it. That can be very serious with babies and elderly people. And it's just always something. Like if you ask me I've really had to do, and I know those of you that have been through any kind of stressful situation, you start to edit yourself because you realize most people in your life cannot handle the extreme conditions of your current season. So when people ask how I am, I mostly just say, fine. And when they ask how mom is, I'm like, she's hanging in there. And very rarely and very few people get the whole story. There are a few, there are enough, don't worry. I have my people that I'm very close with that I do share with, my sister, my best friends, a couple of neighbors, my yoga teacher, my therapist. But by and large, you just are kind of like doing the next right thing. And that's the phase of life we're in right now, and that is okay. All right, I wanted to get to your questions. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. You guys asked some really, really good questions. So if I don't get to your question, it's not because it wasn't a good question. It's just because for time and what I felt comfortable sharing right now, because the season that I'm in is so vulnerable just by the very nature of caring for someone with dementia, I find myself not maybe willing to be as vulnerable about certain things, if that makes sense. So yeah, some of your questions were beautiful, but they were just a little more personal than what I feel comfortable sharing right now, but I may get to them in a future video, so don't lose hope. Okay, I wanted to cover these two kind of together because they were from two different people, but they were very similar questions. What would you go back and tell your late 20s self, or any words of wisdom or life advice for someone in their late 20s? And the next question was, hi, Jen, I want to say I really admire you as a strong woman. Thank you. Can you share if you ever have imposter syndrome and what do you do to overcome it? As a career woman in a male-dominated industry, I often have imposter syndrome. So the reason that those two go together is because the thing I wish I could go back and tell late 20s Jen is that nobody knows what they're doing. Hold on a second. So the thing I wish I could go back and tell late 20s Jen is that nobody really knows what they're doing. And everybody is learning on the job. So whether it is that person at your company that seems like they have everything together, or the person that just started, or the person that's almost ready to retire, you're either faking it till you make it because you're new, or you're faking it till you make it because things have changed since you started and you're trying to adapt to an ever-changing environment. And I think that there's this thing that gets unlocked in you. I don't know what age it happens. For me, I think it was in maybe my mid-40s before I figured this out, that really no one knows what they're doing. And all you can do is get the education, get the skills, continue to be a learner, continue to be a student, never stop. You know, that is going to show up on camera. Can you not? Can you lay down for me? Can you please lay down? I'll pay you $100 if you'll lay down. And I don't generally like to I don't always love bringing gender into these conversations, but since you mentioned that you're in a male-dominated field, men don't really talk about having imposter syndrome. Now, my feeling is that they still have it. They just don't talk about it because they were conditioned, trained from the time they were really little to fake it until they make it. So what I'm not saying is to be arrogant, to walk into a situation and act like you know everything and that you know what you're doing and that you're responsible for everything good that happens and everything bad that happens is someone else's fault. If that reminds you of someone currently in power. However, I am saying that by and large, the people who move up, the people I have seen move through the ranks in corporations I've been part of, when I worked for a major hospital, when I worked for a tech industry, when I worked at a church, the people who make it to the top are the ones who are able to learn and adapt. When they don't know something, they open themselves up to asking the question. It isn't that hard. That's the bottom line. If you're in a position and you've had the education, you're there for a reason. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, and trust yourself to learn what you don't know. I was always so timid to ask questions because in my mind, asking questions meant you didn't know it all, and not already knowing it all was the worst thing. I have since learned that that was a very stupid way to approach my life, that the people who really succeed and are happy are the ones that walk in with a confidence knowing that they possess the mental ability to tackle the job, but they may not possess all the information. And they look for who to ask to get the appropriate information. So I no longer suffer from imposter syndrome because I really realize that I belong in every room that I'm in. And if I don't know something, it isn't because I'm less than the person that knows it. It just means I don't know it. So asking the right questions, being willing to be a learner, understanding that nobody really knows what they're doing. Everybody is faking it until they make it, and just be honest. And if you abide by those rules, I feel like you can move into the position that you're meant for. Does that mean that you're going to be the CEO of the company? Well, maybe yes and maybe no. I don't know your life. I don't know your skill set. I don't know what your best and highest is. But I do know we owe it to ourselves to fulfill our own potential, and you're never going to be able to fulfill your potential until you start becoming a learner and asking the questions. So yeah, that's what I wish I could have told myself in my late 20s. I hope that helped. Okay, next question. Do you have, oh my gosh, what is in my eye? Something itchy. Do you have any communication tips for new parents? Also, I know you talked about me time before on your channel, but when did you feel ready to do things solo after having your kids? So because I was in the church at that time, I started going on like retreats for moms when my babies were toddlers. And I'm actually, for everything that was wrong with the church and everything that has gone wrong with the church in America, those retreats were such a good idea. Because it really helped us all remember who we were as women. So whether that is with your sorority sisters, your friends, your church, whatever, I think that needs to start almost immediately. I would say I started making time for myself really after my kids were weaned. Once they weren't nursing anymore, I was making time for myself. And you've heard me talk about this before if you've been on the channel at all. I really feel like a woman maintaining her own identity apart from her husband and children, from her partner and children, I should say, or apart from her job if she doesn't have children, or she has a job and children apart from her job and from her children. Like, there is no woman that exists that does not need to be in tune with her own identity. There is no man that exists that doesn't need to be in tune with his own identity. There is no gender conforming person that doesn't need to be in tune with their own identity. We all need to be connected to self. We need to understand what we want. We need to understand why we want it. And we need to understand where we can grow. We need to set our ego aside and understand where we can grow and how we can fulfill whatever it is we're meant to do with this one life. You have to devote time to that. And that means spending time alone. That means spending time outside of someone needing you. Because when someone is constantly needing you, it's very difficult for you to reach that place where you can kind of self-actualize and figure out what you even want. So in order to maintain that and to make sure that I always stayed really close with my identity and my sense of self, I, with the amazing encouragement of my wonderful partner, have been spending time alone, spending time with friends, getting away from my family literally since day one. So I think it's never too early to do that if you're out of the infant bonding stage. And even when I was nursing, I would, go to lunch by myself. I would spend time with friends, all of the things. So I think don't fall into the trap that once you are a mom, that needs to be your entire identity. I think you have to continue to develop yourself and your own interests. And I think that also helps when it comes to communication. You weren't clear on communication with new parents. I'm assuming you mean with your partner. And I would say two things on that. I would say make sure, again, you're setting time aside for the two of you to have conversations, to have check-ins, to sit down and have a meeting without distractions. I would separate out, Scott and I would always separate out like a meeting where we would have to talk about bills and landscaping and babysitters and childcare for the summer, which by the way is never quite right. So don't worry if you never get it wrong, because you just will always get it wrong. And then eventually they outgrow all the programs and poof, there it goes. I've said that before, but it maintains truth. And then separate that out from having fun together, from going out, from hopefully taking trips together if you have people that can care for your children, all of those kinds of things. But you have to make your relationship a priority, both from the romantic perspective, of course, but also from the business partner perspective, because this is a person you've chosen to do your life with. So you're parenting with them, but this is also your romantic partner, and this is also your companion. So it takes a lot of time to figure out all those different parts of your relationship. And I don't think you can neglect any of them. So make it a priority. I think the best communication comes from time spent together, and you really have to fight for that time. I mean, and that could mean, oh my gosh, when we were both working full time and raising the kids, Scott would come meet me for lunch. It might mean breakfast. It might mean, staying up late and having tea after the kids went to bed, like crazy things to try to wedge in time where we could be together. But you just have to do it. Otherwise, everything falls apart, at least in my experience. And I feel pretty confident that we did it. Well, the proof is in the pudding. I have 3 sons. All 3 are functioning. All 3 are in relationships with people that are lovely and who they really care about. So I feel confident saying that we did a decent job. Oh, there goes my sunshine. Sorry, natural light, y'all. That's just the way it goes. Moving on. Just pretend you didn't just notice that the light totally just changed in the room. I think it's coming back. Okay, so there you go. This next one is, hi Jen, I'd love to know some of your tips to deal with burnout, especially when you can't step away and take a true break vacation. So I feel like burnout is generally a signal that you are not in the right fit for your talent. I have struggled with burnout only a couple of times, and both times it's been because I was not in the right fit for me. I am not saying that if you have burnout, you need to quit your job. I'm saying if you're finding yourself in danger of burning out, there are a couple things at play. Either you're in the wrong position or you have the wrong attitude toward the job that you're doing, because human beings are not designed, if we're working in our top potential, to just like kill ourselves working. Burnout is such a modern thing, and it's so unfortunate, and there's a lot of failings in our society. Everything from we don't have extended family around anymore, we don't have the support we used to have, and then of course capitalism, which says work until you die. I mean, we just had Dr. Frickin' Oz getting on TV and saying if we could just get people to work, 1 more year, think of all of the money it would add to the economy. What are we doing? Literally, what are we doing? And to line whose pocket? Because I don't think that 1 extra year of work is actually going to do much for me or my community or my family or my neighborhood. And I have a government official saying you should work 1 more year as though it's some kind of patriotic thing to feed this machine of capitalism. It's absurd. So if you're finding yourself getting in burnout a lot, obviously, you need to address it. And times when I've reached that point, I have had to take serious breaks. I've had to just I'm very fortunate. I've been able to just stop work altogether for periods of time. But I think go back further than that. What is happening and what is set up that is creating a situation where burnout is even possible? And that's where I'd like you to start, because we want to prevent that from ever happening. Because when it does happen, I don't think there's no way out of it except through extreme measures that can be very disruptive to your livelihood, to your situation, all of the things. And we really just don't want that to happen. So I guess what I would say is don't get burned out. If you do get burned out, be as radical as you need to be, because you only have this one life to live. But really look at the systems that you have in place. Are you asking for enough help? Do you have enough caregivers around you? Do you need to be outsourcing more? Do you need to be setting better boundaries? All of the tools at your disposal to try to figure out the why. And definitely, if it's available to you, do that in conjunction with a mental health professional. So that's all I have to say about that. Okay, hello, Jen. I remember you needed to take something for hot flashes. I get them day and night. What worked for you, especially at night? Kim, okay, so many of you know I was on Veoza. I was on Veoza for almost 2 full years, and Veoza is a hot flash medication. It was working for me. It was working beautifully for me. And then all of a sudden it just stopped, and I wasn't sleeping at all. And I went to my doctor, and I am now on the estrogen patch. I know that there's a lot of controversy about hormone therapy or not hormone therapy, but I was at the point where I could not function because I just was not sleeping. I was up 6 and 7 times a night. So I'm now on a combination of a progesterone pill at night and an estrogen patch that I change out twice a week. And I have been sleeping like a baby. I've been sleeping between 7 and 9 hours per night. I thought I was losing my mind. Brain fog has lifted, my hair is coming back, I feel better, my skin feels better. I kind of feel like myself again. And I was chatting with my OBGYN, and she was saying, you know, I feel like if you don't get good sleep, you just can't manage anything else in your life well. And it's so true. And I finally feel like now I have a fighting chance. Now, the reason I had not gone on HRT sooner is because I do have a family history of cancer. But I was fortunate that I actually went through some genetic testing. My dad's cancer was directly related, we think, to him being a B-52 pilot in his military time. And I have no genetic markers for cancer. And so it was a long conversation with the genetic counselor, with my doctor, and we decided that it was safe and appropriate for me to go on hormone replacement therapy. That is a conversation you need to have with your doctor, not with the internet, not on social media, but you and your doctor need to sit down and talk about it. But not sleeping is not normal. So whether you need to go on hormone replacement therapy or sleeping pills or be in cognitive behavioral therapy or whatever the case may be, get to the bottom of it, because it is literally crazy making, and it's the foundation for everything else that you do in your life, because you're a human being and human beings require quality sleep. So if you're not getting quality sleep, talk to your doctor and find a solution. You may be like me and you have to, you know, kiss a few frogs before you find the correct prince that's going to solve your problems. For me, for now, HRT is the path forward and how I'm able to get a lot more sleep, and my life is so much better. Oh my God, I can't even tell you. All right, do you have any shows, books, and or movies that you were loving lately? I know we're all needing some escape right now, even if it's to a fictional place. Yes, I love the show Shrinking. What are we on with Shrinking? Is it the 3rd season? Is it the 4th season? I think it's the 3rd season. Love Shrinking, one of my favorite shows. I also am reading a couple of different books right now. I'm gonna go, actually, are they up here? I will put pictures of the books I'm reading right now. One is, I think it's called When We Were, oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm just going to go get them. Okay, sorry. This one is called On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. My son gave this to me as a Christmas gift, and it is a story written from a son to his mother. And his mother came out of Vietnam with a lot of trauma, and there's addiction, and it's a memoir, and it's beautifully written. I'm a little late to the game on this one. I feel like this book came out many years ago. And my son said it is his favorite book. And so he very sweetly gave it to me for Christmas, and I'm loving it. So this one, and I just started this book, Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. And a few of you have told me this is one of your favorite recent books. So this is fun, goes back and forth between a couple of different timelines. It's based in the UK. It's just a really good read. So I'm enjoying both of these. Anything Reese's Book Club lately, I'm enjoying. I've recently finished, like, I'm always in at least 2 books. And I like that. I love, like, is it Emily Henry that I like? I like to have something really fun and escapist, but also I love a little bit of historical information, like Frozen River, probably my favorite read of the last, like, 5 years. If you haven't read Frozen River yet, great ending in that book. But reading is very big for me right now. I also read a lot of periodicals. I read a lot of, like, political periodicals. I read the New Yorker. I read the Atlantic. I read the New York Times every day. And that's not so much escapist as it gives me a deeper perspective. I think a lot of our problems right now are people only read the tagline or the clickbait or the first paragraph, and they don't take it to the next layer. And I find having magazines actually come to the house that have really good, meaty articles help me to dig a little deeper into issues that are far more complex than just a 30-second Instagram reel. And I feel like I'm kind of in the process of retraining my mind. Y'all have probably seen, like, on TikTok right now. On TikTok right now, there's the big analog bag craze, where people have, their bag that has no technology. I am finding myself shifting away from technology and really embracing, like, I'm back to coloring again. I think I might even go pick up, like, a cross stitch project from Michaels, because cross stitch was something I used to love when I was in my 20s. And I haven't done any kind of needlework or anything for years. So I think we're all fatigued. I mean, I read a post the other day. The guy was like, I've looked at the entire internet. Everybody seems like they're doing fine. Check in later. It's like, yeah, I'm just kind of over it. And I do want to stay informed, but I like to be informed on a deeper level. And I find that keeps my cortisol levels a little more steady than the constant spikes we get with the outrage and all the things. Hear me. There's a lot to be outraged about. We have to be informed and we have to do our part. In fact, I'm participating in the No Kings protest. I think it's March 28th. I'll put I'll put information down in the description box so you can find one near you. I'm doing all the things, right? Voting, protesting, giving money to candidates that I believe in. But also, we don't help anybody when we're, like, hysterical. And so trying to maintain some level of balance so that I can continue to take care of my mom, to be there, as much as I can for my grown sons, to maintain my relationships. I made a list this morning of all of the different things that I'm responsible for. And it's a long list, y'all. It's a long list. And I'm responsible for keeping my temperature regulated. And I can't do that if I'm living my life online. So yeah, that's the thing. Get offline, read a book. Or a magazine or whatever. Like, you can still stay informed, but maybe do it in a different way than that. Let's see. I'm a huge fan of Good Hang with Amy Poehler, and she asks every guest, what has been making you laugh, bringing you immense joy lately? She said, is there a book, movie, person? So I already said the books and the TV show. Is there a person? I would say my wonderful husband. He has been my best friend since the year of our Lord, 1988. And continues to be, like, right now he's in Seoul, South Korea, which is super rude. But he continues to just be such a great support and partner and makes me laugh. We just celebrated our 36th wedding anniversary. And yeah, I mean, he just brings me a lot of joy. There's not a day that goes by that he does not make me laugh. And my mom said that, like, really early on, before I ever started dating anybody. She said, always marry a person who makes you laugh, because life is going to be very hard. And I'm so glad I listened to her, because yeah, I'm so grateful for him. Okay, what are your favorite skincare products? I started buying Elemis through your videos using your link and recently bought Beekman. Okay, so there are 3 different parts of my skincare routine right now that I'm absolutely loving. The first is the Jones Road What the Foundation. It's what I'm wearing today. It's a very like no makeup. It feels more like skincare. Love it. I will link it below. I wear the color Fair. But if you're someone who doesn't love foundation, which I never have, and you have dry skin, I'm telling you, if you have skin that's like not 25 anymore, this is the way to go. This is not sponsored by them. It's just what I love. Also the Miracle Balm I love, but that's not really skincare. Elemis, I'm still using up what I have, but I have recently had to back off. I was using the Ultra Pro or whatever. It's like $400 and I just didn't have it in the budget anymore. So I have switched over to two different things, the Beekman Day Cream, the Bloom Cream, and also I'm using Dr. G's from South Korea because my husband is in South Korea all the time. And it's like snail something or other. I'll see if I can find it for you guys, but I'm loving that as well. So I'm kind of using a combination. I'm still using Elemis. I still love Elemis. I think it's a really good product, but I'm also leaning into some less expensive options. And for me right now, that's the Dr. G's from South Korea and the Beekman line. Of the Beekman line, there's several different serums and things. I use the vitamin C serum and then that purple one, I can't remember what it's called, but I'll link it all in the description and you can shop around and see what you think. Also, somebody asked me about Kitsch, if I'm still using from the Advent calendar. Yes, I am. I'm using the Rosemary and Biotin shampoo bar. You guys, like, I don't know if it's reading on camera. My hair is transformed, whether I'm wearing it curly or I'm wearing it straight or whatever. And part of it too is because I'm on the estrogen patch now. So it's not all because of the shampoo, but my hair, I'm able to go longer between washes. It feels like it's the healthiest it's ever been. And this is the part that's gonna blow your mind. I have no conditioner on my hair. As my texture has changed, I found that a lot of the conditioners were really weighing it down. So this is just that shampoo bar with no conditioner and no product. So yeah, I let it air dry and then I used the round brush on it this morning, or the heated brush that I use that, as seen on TV1, I've had forever and is going to die someday. But I'm actually fallen back in love with my hair again. So love the Kitsch products. Again, not sponsored or affiliate. So this is a good follow-up to that. This is from Sherry. This May, I will be married 36 years, just like us. What systems do you have in place to keep you connected to your husband? It's hard not to get lost in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. I mean, we're not a good example, Sherry, because he does travel for work, but then he's home for like really long stretches of time. So we have a lot of time together. We just do. And we recently started playing a board game together called Wingspan. So board games are great. We go for drives a lot. Y'all know he loves his car, so we do that a lot. We go for walks a lot. We've both really backed off on like consumerism. And so whereas we used to like go walk around the mall, we don't really do that anymore. We walk around our neighborhood. We go visit my mom in assisted living. He goes with me a lot to go see her. And it's just kind of like finding time along the way. I know that's not a great example because we both have very different schedules, but we do have to make it a priority. And we do try to do fun things together. And one of you asked, and now I have to find it, and this ties in because we travel together, as you guys know, and our trips together are so like regrounding for us. It really helps us reconnect. This is from Alpharetta 305. I will be retiring this year and would like to take a bucket list trip. My problem is making the where decision because I get overwhelmed by all the choices. Y'all, we have gotten in so many fights. Like before we did the Cinque Terre Switzerland trip that we just got back from, well, in October, we fought about that trip forever because he had the time off and we had set aside the money. We could not decide. And it's almost like there's too many choices, right? So we finally just decided, we actually asked Claude, the AI, to plan our trip for us. We put in what we were looking for. And we both said when we sat down, we're going to put into Claude, and I don't like AI, but for this, it was fun. We're going to put into Claude what we want out of a vacation for both of us, because we kept arguing about where we wanted to go. And then we're going to go wherever he says. And Claude was the one who told us to go to Cinque Terre and to the Ticino region of Switzerland. I was so happy with that choice. So there are good, let's see. There's more to see than can ever be seen, more to do than can ever be done, quoting The Lion King, which does not have apes in it, by the way. Anywho, there's more to see than can ever be seen. So just pick. If need be, literally take a hat and put all the choices in there. I would say look at like the time of year you want to go, when does that align, when does it work with your schedule, whatever. Just pick someplace, because you could, it's option glut, right? Like, what a great problem to have, but there are too many places to go to. So just pick something and make a plan and make the trip. And whatever else is on the list, just work your way through the list randomly if you need to. And when in doubt, use a little bit of, Chat GPT or Claude. We're Claude people, and let Claude decide. Just let Claude decide. All right, this last question is about drinking. And I wasn't going to address this, but I decided that I would. Do you like the non-alcoholic drinks, and have you noticed if your sleep has improved? So the reason that I have stopped drinking altogether, and it's not like a definitive thing. Someone asked me if I was sober. I don't really consider myself sober, although I haven't had a drink in 2026, but I'm not opposed to having a drink. Like, I was thinking I have my big Patreon cruise coming up. We'll probably do a champagne toast. I'll probably have alcohol over the holidays. By and large, though, alcohol is no longer part of my life. Certainly, well, it's never really part of my daily life, but it's just not a part of my life anymore. And that is for one reason and one reason only. Yes, because of my sleep, but mostly because watching mom walk through dementia and spending a lot of time in the memory care and a lot of time with people who have dementia who are not that much older than me. Some of the people in her memory care unit are in their 60s and early 70s. My cognitive health has moved to the top of everything else. That also was the big motivation to get my sleep figured out, because sleep and cognitive health are very tightly linked together. Alcohol and cognitive health do not go well together. Much higher incidence of dementia among people who drink. Heart disease and cognitive health do not go well together. So I'm really watching my diet. I'm trying to take out processed sugar. I'm not eating as many simple carbs. I'm eating more leafy vegetables, more of a Mediterranean diet. Lack of exercise and cognitive health do not go together. So I've added yoga. I'm doing more walking. I'm doing more strength training. Every health decision I go to make now is based on cognitive health. And this is going to be really grim, what I'm going to say, but it's just the honest truth. If you have something like cancer, that is something that you can stop treatment. If you have dementia, there is no path out of it. You do not have a choice. And some of you know exactly what I'm saying. If that is confusing to you, maybe just let it go, or you can DM me for a follow-up on that. But I realize that what I don't want is that. I can't keep it from happening definitively, right? But I can make choices now. The choices you make in midlife and even earlier than that are really what determine your risk for dementia. So if you're very, very overweight, you want to resolve that. If your diet is not healthy, you want to resolve that. If you're not sleeping, you want to resolve that through whatever means are appropriate and that you discuss with your doctor. But all of those things are in combination are what add to an increased risk of dementia. I don't want that. I want my brain to last as long as my body, and drinking was not congruent with that. So we had to break up. Again, I will still do a champagne toast. I will still, drink very, very occasionally. But by and large, that's no longer part of my life. And honestly, I feel better for it. It's fine. Yes, I loved the zero proof cocktails that I had recently on Disney Cruise Line. Well done. You're not always going to find that. I'm sailing Celebrity coming up here in a couple of months, and I'm interested to see what their zero proof cocktail situation is. But yeah, I'm happier for it. I'm sleeping better, also because of the estrogen patch, but no regrets. And the only thing that's been weird, honestly, is how many people have asked about it or like online made it a bigger deal than it is. Y'all, it's just not that big of a deal. And if it is a big deal, you may want to evaluate your own relationship with drinking because it really shouldn't be. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, that was a lot. I have no idea how long I just talked, but like I feel in my spirit like it was probably a really long time. So whatever you're doing today, I hope you're finding joy. If you didn't subscribe already, please do. I need to work and I need for my business to be successful. So you are contributing to my small business when you like the video, when you subscribe, certainly when you support me on Patreon. Patrons, you know how much I love you. Our cruise is coming up. I'm so excited about that. And yeah, that's all we have time for today. So I will see you in the next video.